In the last month, we have seen an increase in the presence of mega boxes in the game, with the first appearance being the classic Brawl event, and now the box versus drops event, in which boxes really seem to be winning by a mile. And overall, there really has been a lot of hype around the mega boxes, and people are wondering whether there is a chance that boxes may be coming back since Brawl Stars is just pushing them a lot. Well, that's what we're going to be going over today, so let's get right into it. First, we need to look at why the Brawl boxes have been removed in the first place, since the reasoning is important to try and determine if they could be coming back to the game. The boxes were removed at the end of 2022, and this was a fairly controversial decision at the time. Supercell removed them because the boxes were too RNG, and it really was more like gambling because you had to buy the boxes and they were a big way to get the stuff in the game. The boxes were like the main progression system, and this just favored people who could get more boxes, though I personally wouldn't say it was like extremely pay to win or anything, since anyone could have fun in the game. But another important thing to consider is that this was during a time where loot boxes and crates and those types of things were being heavily criticized in other games and even getting removed because they were seen as predatory and just not something that should be inside of games, so I'm sure that also influenced the decision to remove the Brawl boxes. And instead, the Star Road was added, which was a much more open progression system where you could clearly see what brawlers you were going to unlock, and there was always the option of just buying them directly with gems. The whole purpose of this was to get away from the loot boxes and gambling reputation that the game kind of had, and it definitely did work, however it wasn't the most well received. The boxes have been in the game since the beginning, and they were really an iconic part of the game and what everyone was used to, and a lot of people had just grown to like the boxes because it was always fun and exciting when you opened them because you didn't know what all you would get. And there were also people saying that Brawl Stars just wouldn't be Brawl Stars if the boxes were removed. However, there were also plenty of people that were happy that the Brawl boxes were getting removed, and they had valid reasons as well. Their reasons were the same for why the boxes got removed in the first place, and that is just because of the gambling aspect of it, where you had to rely on the boxes despite not knowing what you would get. So after the boxes got removed, the game continued on as normal with just a new progression system. However, there were plenty of people that were still upset over the removal of the boxes, and that is the main reason for why the star drops were added. These star drops were really just supposed to be extra rewards to try and make people happy, as they were kind of like the loot boxes, but they weren't an integral part of the progression system. This is why you only get one thing from each star drop instead of various things like you did from the Brawl boxes. And the star drops also have rarities, and you can really only expect to get really good stuff from the legendary star drops. Meanwhile, a rare is pretty much worth nothing. This would add in another RNG factor to the game, as you wouldn't know what your star drop rarity would be, but it also did make it kind of exciting, as you always hoped that your star drop would just get upgraded. And in my opinion, I think that the star drops were an acceptable way to make up for the removal of the Brawl boxes, since these were fun to open and you also didn't need to rely on them for progress. However, they also were a lot less valuable than the mega boxes, and there are still people that only wanted the boxes back. But things would just continue on for months, and it seemed like boxes were just getting farther and farther away, and it seemed like they were never coming back until the Brawl Talk titled "Mega Boxes Are Back" came out almost 2 months ago. This announced a classic Brawl event in which the boxes would end up coming back, and this Brawl Talk has 37 million views, and that makes it the most viewed Brawl Talk ever, which is a massive deal and really shows how big of a news this was. This really was just a massive deal and made a ton of people happy, including the people who had originally disliked the boxes, because it was a big deal for them coming back, and it was also supposed to be a limited time thing, and it would just give extra rewards, so no one could really complain about this. The whole event really just showed Supercell exactly how much people cared about the boxes and just how big they were in the game, and this is most likely why we now have the boxes versus drops event, in which you get to vote between receiving boxes or drops for the event. There are basically 3 different times we get to pick, and so far the boxes are winning, and we just have to wait until the event is over to see what the entire picture looks like, though I have a strong feeling that the boxes are probably going to win each time. And this event is also what brought the question of whether or not the boxes are going to be coming back to the game, since this seems like a great way to get people's opinions while disguising it as an event. I mean, they are directly asking for people to vote between the boxes and drops, and there's a chance that they're going to keep whatever ends up getting the most votes, meaning the boxes could be coming back, and this is just a way for Supercell to see if it is worth it and if people truly want boxes. That is also probably why they split it into 3 different voting sections, so that people are able to have multiple chances and they can get the most accurate data. Now, I obviously could be completely wrong about this, and this is a simple event. However, I just think it is worth noting that this is happening shortly after Brawl Stars got their biggest video of the year so far. But another thing we need to look at is just how exactly it would even work if the boxes were added back, since I doubt the star drops and boxes would exist at the same time. There is no way that the boxes could go back to being the main progression system in the game, as that really just wouldn't work out and would honestly be a dumb decision. However, they also can't exist the same way that the star drops do. This is because there's really only one rarity of box that seems to be available, and that is a mega box, and it also gives away more stuff than a star drop. So there can't be like a simple swap, and instead there would have to be some changes. The easiest and most obvious one, in my opinion, will be to just make it so you get less boxes. However, that in itself may cause for there to be way too little boxes. Right now, according to Brawl Stars, there's a 6-to-1 ratio with 6 star drops equaling 1 mega box, and that would mean most people would be getting 1 Brawl box every other day. Now, that would be a big change from the current pace, and it may just feel underwhelming opening an average of 1 box every 2 days. There could be the option of making the rewards slightly worse or just giving less rewards. However, that would also take away from the mega boxes, but it may be a necessary compromise. And overall, it really would be a challenge figuring out how to implement the boxes back into the game with the progression system we have, since the boxes used to be the main progression system. But it has worked for limited time events, so I'm hopeful that they would be able to figure it out, though it definitely is an obstacle to consider. And another thing to consider is just how the players feel about this, since we are seeing 2 different things. When you look at the votes, it seems like people are in favor of the boxes. However, when you look on Reddit, where there's the largest Brawl Stars community, then you can see how quite a lot of people seem to be against the mega boxes. This is obviously strange since we are seeing 2 separate things, and it is kind of a similar situation with Supercell Make, where people are voting for certain skins, but people are speaking out against it on Reddit. So if you've only looked on Reddit, then it honestly just seems like people hate the mega boxes, while the votes tell a different story, and this is also something we really have to consider. In my opinion, it looks like the people speaking out against the boxes are just a vocal minority, and the votes are really the main part to focus on, since no one is being forced to vote or anything, and it is a simple decision people can make on their own without being influenced by other people. That just seems like a more reliable source of information when it comes to player reception, though you also can't just simply ignore what people are saying out loud. This just creates an interesting situation where we don't really know how successful or well received the boxes would be, since while they were good the first time in the classic Brawl event, things seem a bit different now as people realize the boxes could actually be permanent. So overall, I definitely do think the boxes could be added back into the game. However, there's just a ton of other factors that make me think that Supercell won't actually do it, or at least not now. I think that this is something that is more likely to happen in the future, since the star drops have only been here for about a year, so I think Supercell may not want to let go of them right now, but if the votes drastically change in favor of the boxes, then we could actually see that. But that is also it for this video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.